Since my wife and I got married 3 years ago, things have been off. I know that people grow and change with time, but around our wedding, my wife changed drastically. She bleached her dark brown hair blonde right before the ceremony. And I honestly thought I was in the wrong church for a split second when she came down the aisle. We moved into our house right after the honeymoon, and she went into full domestic mode. We'd shared cleaning duties before, but once we moved into the house, she became insistent on doing everything before I could even get to it. Since this is our first house, I thought it was some kind of homeowner nesting thing, but it never stopped. Her hair color is none of my business, and I think most people would be happy not to have to clean. So I honestly didn't really think much of either of those things at the time. The big thing has always been how closed off she got after the wedding. When we were dating, she'd tell me long rambling stories about her feelings and rant to me when she was upset and all that. And I liked hearing about what was going on inside her head. After the wedding, that stopped pretty abruptly. If I ask her how her day is, she will only ever tell me that it was fine or super. She doesn't talk to me about her feelings anymore, ever, even when I explicitly ask, "How do you feel about X?" She also stopped telling me about anything important that happened to her. About a year after we got married, her grandfather died. Did she tell me she'd lost her grandfather? No. She told me that she had to go to a conference for work on the other side of the country, which I thought nothing of. On the second day she was gone. Her older brother texted me to tell me that my in-laws had really missed seeing me at the funeral. When I called her to ask why in the ever-loving hell she didn't tell me, and then lied about it, all she would say was, "I didn't want to trouble you. You have a lot on your plate." After that, she went on a couple of spontaneous family trips. She's really close to her family, so the first time she said she was going camping with her brother at their alma mater. I didn't think a lot of it other than to be slightly disappointed and confused that I wasn't invited, because her brother's cool and the three of us go camping together a lot. But the second time, I started hearing alarm bells. I'd like to say I'm a more secure man, but after the second spontaneous family trip, my wheels started spinning and I started to think that maybe she was cheating. This was a weird insecurity in the back of my mind for a while, since she wasn't showing any other big signs of cheating. She wasn't guarded about her phone and hadn't changed her routine / appearance. A few weeks ago, she told me she was pregnant. I was over the moon about it until I asked her how many weeks along she was, and she nonchalantly said about 12 or 13. She'd been pregnant for like 3 months before she even bothered to tell me. She's not really showing at all, and she doesn't usually drink, so I had been completely in the bloody dark. I honestly hadn't even suspected. That was kind of it for me. I was sure she was cheating, and that it wasn't my kid. I thought there was no possible way that a woman would keep her pregnancy a secret from her husband for 3 months. So I snooped. Yes, I know I was wrong, but I wanted proof that she'd been having an affair before I moved out. One of my best buddies from college is a divorce attorney, and when I asked him what I should do, he sent me the info for a key logger. I installed it on my wife's laptop and was prepared for the worst. Now, I feel like what I found is somehow worse than her cheating. I didn't find any steamy messages, but I found out that she keeps a diary in a Word document that she writes in every day. I know I should have just stopped once I knew she wasn't cheating, but once I saw my name in her diary, I couldn't stop. I read all of it. All 7 separate documents, going back to way before we'd even met. Turns out she's not cheating. She's depressed, hates herself, and has absolutely no trust in me. All of the stuff I've been confused and bothered by has some kind of sad, self-loathing explanation. She hates having blonde hair, but she writes, "I know he'd divorce me if I went back to being a brunette. Because wives are supposed to be blonde almost every week." The "wives are supposed to be" thing is tangled up in everything. She thinks wives are supposed to be quiet, which is why she doesn't talk to me anymore. She thinks wives are supposed to make things easier for their husbands, not harder. Which is why she didn't tell me when her grandfather died. It just goes on and on and on. She didn't tell me when she got a huge promotion and a raise because he'd leave me in a heartbeat if he knew I made more money than he does. Men can't handle that. It hurt to know that she thinks of me as some kind of one-dimensional 1950s husband, and I've been racking my brain to think of anything I could have done to make her think this way. What I can't handle is that she'd lied about the big stuff. I honestly don't know if I can forgive her for not telling me about the miscarriages. The spontaneous family trips were actually her miscarrying 2 of our children, one at 5 weeks, the other at about 10. She went and stayed with her parents while she was recuperating, and her brother and sister came to support her. But not me. I didn't get to be there for her, because she thinks I would leave her immediately if I knew that she'd killed our children. She's convinced that she caused both miscarriages because she smoked pot for a long time before we got married. For what it's worth, it sounds like her family tried both times to get her to tell me, but she wouldn't. She finally told me about this pregnancy because her parents threatened to tell me she didn't. I'm just absolutely confused. I don't even know what to think right now. I'm just so baffled because everything she says about me in her diary is insanely nice. She goes on for pages and pages about how much she loves me and how she thinks I'm her soulmate and how she would do anything for me. I just can't understand why she thinks that I would leave her. Knowing that she's spent the last 3 years walking on eggshells around me, convinced that I would leave her at the drop of a hat is just so confusing and awful. I feel like our marriage is some kind of lie. The woman I thought was self-confident and ready to take on the world is actually full of self-loathing and really, really depressed. I don't know her at all. She's been suffering silently with depression long before we met. She has no faith in me, no trust. She thinks that every hug and kiss I give her and every "I love you" I say is a lie. I just don't know what to do. She obviously needs serious help, but I don't know how to get it for her. I can't tell her that I read her diary. If she has zero trust in me now, I can't even imagine what she'd think if she knew if I read 6 years worth of her private thoughts. I feel like I need to get my in-laws on board somehow, but I don't know what to say to them. I know I can't ignore this, but I feel like any move is the wrong move. I am 19 years old and my parents are in their 50s. For as long as I can remember, I have been allergic to several things: dairy, wheat/flour/gluten, legumes. Since I was a young child, my parents have completely kept all of them out of our house. While other kids ate breakfast cereals, I ate fish and assorted pickled vegetables for breakfast. While other kids had Lunchables, I had grilled chicken or fish with, again, assorted vegetables, usually sweet potatoes. While other kids ate birthday cake at the birthday party, I had an apple. I never questioned this until a couple of months ago. I was at my aunt's house for my birthday party, and she made brownies for everyone. For me, she took great steps to make them with almond flour and avoided all of my allergies. I started eating them and thought little of it until my aunt suddenly looked at me and, in a panicked way, asked which plate I took the brownies from. I pointed from the one where I got my brownies, and she immediately stood up and told me we had to get my EpiPen. She raced to ask my mother for it, and I sat there scared out of my mind because I had never mistakenly eaten flour before. I noticed my mother had calmed her down, and then she said that we don't have to worry because she had switched the plates of brownies. And after all, I had eaten the ones made with almond flour. I found this incredibly odd because, really, why would she swap the plates? That doesn't even make sense. But for the time being, I let the issue rest. It didn't sit well with me for about a week, and I finally went to get an allergy test. The doctor started with a skin prick test, and lo and behold, I didn't react to any of the above substances. Then he ordered a blood test, and when the results came in, they said that I had absolutely no intolerance to any of the foods I'm supposed to be allergic to. I was furious and called my mother. She eventually admitted that she lied to me because she wanted me to be on a Paleolithic diet and wanted me to be able to avoid all temptations. She raised me with a lie about her own health, but she keeps insisting that I try to see it from her perspective. She spams my phone with messages about how healthy I am, that I never had acne, that I have been in great shape my whole life, that I have strong teeth and bones, and even that I got onto a D1 college tennis team. She has started calling me ungrateful for her intervention and insisting that I really should be glad I never got carb addicted. I don't know what to think. I carried around an EpiPen for all those years, one that I suspect may be fake, seeing as my mother never got me to replace it. And I don't even know anymore. I gave birth to my daughter weeks ago. My experience was pretty traumatic, and since it was my first, I had no clue what to expect. When I went into labor, I had the most difficult time of my life. I was in pain for hours. My mom was with me, but she had to go, and my husband was with me the entire time. I did something so embarrassing in the delivery room. I pooped myself, which was unexpected and I don't know, but it was embarrassing, and although my medical team were very professional about it, my husband couldn't help himself and started laughing about it later and even telling my family about it, but they didn't react. Just didn't find it funny, and neither did I. In fact, I found it embarrassing, and I already told him to stop bringing it up, especially when he started joking about getting me diapers for my opsies. It got really tiring and chipped away from my self-esteem and confidence. We were with his parents celebrating New Year's Eve together when I excused myself to the bathroom. While I was getting up, he made a quick remark and said, "Oh, yeah, you should go quickly because we don't want any accidents just like the one we had at the hospital. You know what I mean?" While blinking at me. His family actually laughed, and brother-in-law commented, "Good one." I was astonished and so angry and ashamed. I literally just lost it on him and yelled at the top of my lungs, calling him a cruel and sensitive jerk, to be using the difficult experience of birthing his child as a joking matter and humiliating me in front of everybody. He was shocked, staring back at me and not saying a word. All went silent, and I just stormed off to the bathroom till we left, and that was when he snapped, saying I messed up by talking to him like that in front of his family during dinner. I said I couldn't hold my tongue for that long, and after he kept joking about an embarrassing thing when I told him to stop. He said he was just joking, and I went overboard with my reaction, and also, I should have sucked it up and waited till we got home so we could address this privately, and I could even yell at him as long as I wanted. We argued about it after we got home, and he kept saying I humiliated him in front of his family during the celebratory evening by being petty and trying to one-up him. He even said I should have laughed along, not fly off the handle licks that. I am a 28 years old male, my partner, woman 34 years old, and I have been together for 5 years. She has a daughter, she's 8, from a previous relationship. Right off the bat, it was made known I had fertility issues and likely wouldn't ever be able to father a child. I moved slow in the relationship, although I had fallen in love with her fast. When things got serious, I overheard her telling her sister she was concerned that I might be an aggressive type person because of the amount of scars I have. I didn't want her scared away, so I told her I had a bad childhood and left it at that. A little over 2 years into our relationship, I felt somewhat comfortable opening up, and for the first time I told her exactly why I'm infertile, which is a direct result of an injury I suffered due to trauma as a child. She was really empathetic, and I was just thankful I had found the one I want to spend my life with that also came with a kid I adore. Fast forward to last summer. My partner and her friend decided to play an impromptu prank on me. I came home from work. There were multiple positive pregnancy tests in the bathroom. My partner announced she was pregnant. I started freaking out. A happy freak out cause I thought I had hit the lottery with the slim to none chance I have. They both started laughing. The tests were from the friend and not my partner. I was pretty much devastated and felt really let down that my partner would actually pull a prank like that. At first she was shocked by my reaction and said, "I thought you'd know it was a joke considering your circumstances." She ended up apologizing after realizing how hurt I was. 3 weeks ago she arranged a huge dinner with her entire family at our house. She had us play this stupid mystery game and ultimately announced to everyone she's pregnant. Her mother and sisters were deliriously happy. Immediately I got pissed, thinking this was yet another prank, so I showed absolutely no emotions, which everyone caught on to. I said to my partner, "Either you're just mentally disturbed or you're cheating." That's pretty much when all hell broke loose. My partner's POV is that she was sincerely apologetic about the prank, and I should know her well enough to not think she'd ever pull that stunt again. She's also livid at me for ruining the announcement, embarrassing her in front of her entire family, causing them to think I'm a horrible person, and then finally insinuating that she's a cheater. I still stand by my claim that had she never pranked me, my reaction would have been different. I do find it odd she decided to tell me along with her family. Things would have likely went over better had she told me first, and then we announced it together. But I'm starting to think I acted immaturely, causing scene in front of her family, and I think that's maybe where I'm wrong.